Hey everybody. Before I get stuck into my intro, let me just very quickly for 1 minute let you hear what a few instances of Bandit applied to a melodic thing and a more percussive thing can sound like. Let's see how radically it can improve things. Okay, now putting it on. Right. Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Kavinsky's Tutorials. Today it is my great pleasure to look at FAC Bandit. So this is a multi-band effects unit by Fred Anton Corvest. And I've got 5 codes to give away. So five free copies basically of any Fred Anton Corvest app. Go and check him out in the App Store. You can also, by the way, go and take a look at his website, Fred Anton Corvest. Got kind of manuals for all his apps and stuff over there, and kind of read more about what they do. So that might help you decide. But also, he's not just offering free copies of any apps. You could also, if you prefer, choose to get a free copy of an in-app purchase for one of his apps. So this is only available to subscribers to the channel. Look at the pinned comment at the top of the YouTube comment section for details of exactly what you need to do to get a chance to win. I'll declare the winners 2 days from now. I'll contact you by reply to your YouTube message. So thanks to Fred for that. Okay, so first let's just explain very quickly what this is. Let me explain to you what we're going to do. First, I'm just going to explain in a very rudimentary way what the app does. Then I'm going to let you hear it on something, and I'll have a little play with it and just sort of explain in more detail what the different knobs and things do. And then we'll go and look at a multi-out instance of the app. So this is one of the great things about this app, that it has multi-out. There are a few really cool things about this. One thing actually also is the way it can resize like this. So we can get this kind of vertical view. I mean, that's brilliant, especially for people with a smaller iPad. When I was doing this video, I asked Fred, actually, what are some of the things you're proud of about this app, or that you'd like me to highlight in this video? And this is one of the things that he pointed out to me, and I'm glad he did, because I've got a bigger iPad. I mean, I use the largest iPad Pro, so I don't often really need to kind of squash things down to this size. But actually incredibly useful, especially for people, with smaller device. So that's great. So it's a well done interface in that sense. Fred, I mean, great apps, great developer. He's really one of these developers, when he brings something new out, I mean, people just buy it without question, really. People in the audio bus forum and stuff, there's always a huge hype about his apps, and I must say it is deserved. His apps are renowned for the quality of their sound, and they're sometimes pretty innovative. So this, for example, I think was one of the first multi-band effects of any kind on iOS, or multi-band apps, not even just in terms of effect apps. And I think it was also one of the first things to offer multi-out as well. And so yeah, later in the video, I'll show you exactly how to set up a multi-out session when we load the app, actually, if I would type in here, for example, Bandit, you'll see we actually have two different choices. We just have the general FAC Bandit, or we have FAC Bandit multi-out. So now I'm just using the regular one. I want to start off with something simple, but later in the video I'll show how to set up multi-out and talk about why it's so useful. Multi-out is really great, and not that many apps offer it yet, and not many hosts can actually accommodate it even, I think, but that's one of the good things about AUM. Okay, so first then, what we got here very, very quickly, we have 3 bands, low, mid, and high, and we can apply different effects. I mean, of course, if we want, we can apply all the same type of effect to all of them. Or we can apply, you know, for example, we can apply a saturator to the low end, and then to the mid end, we could apply, for example, say some ring modulator or whatever, and then to the high, we could apply a reverb or a delay. So it's just a brilliant, brilliant sound design tool. Now, I'll mention that when you buy the app, you get the saturator algorithms, you get the lo-fi stuff, and you get the ring modulator, and then the delay and the reverb are separate in-app purchases, and I would highly recommend them. Maybe until you try this, you don't realize how useful it can be to get this minute level of control over reverb and delay. It can be so cool to just put a little bit of reverb on one band rather than sticking it on everything. You can then, of course, I mean, you can set up multiple instances of the app. Later when we look at the multi-out, I mean, we'll look at how you can send the multi-out out to different channels, send it out as a send effect, and then put more instances of this on each of those. I mean, there's just all kinds of crazy stuff that you can do. Okay, anyway, enough chat. So here, what do we have? Getting some nice MIDI coming out of piano motifs, which has had a cool update actually that allows you to get more control over the motifs that you generate. Watch one of my videos on this if you're not familiar with this app. Very useful app. For example, now it allows you to choose, do you want melody with sustained chords or syncopated chords or whatever, or do you want a melody with a bass line or a syncopated bass line, and a few different choices like that. It's really good. Okay, so here we've got this playing into an instance of noise melody, Vina. This is in the Colors of India pack. I really like this sound in particular, but it's a bit thin actually, this sound. So there's one thing we could do here, you know, just fatten it up a little bit with one of these saturation things. So this is where we can go through presets that are already made. We can get into the right distortion here. But let me show you something that really shows off what this thing can do. For example, here. Now, let's look at this, what we've got here. So here we have a reverb on the low end, a delay in the mid, and another reverb on the high. Let's just look very quickly at the controls here, and now I'll just look at how we could sort of maybe dial this in to sound a little bit better. So the first thing is, this is the gain for the low end, and that's after the processing, I believe. Here we have mute and solo for each one. Right, so each one has a gain and a mute and a solo. And then what we have here, these things will vary depending on what we select here. So for example, because here we have Abyss selected, which is one of the reverb algorithms, Here in this big yellow button, what we're getting is a knob to control the size. And then here we're getting things like there's the pre-delay time for the reverb, right? And we have a damp here and mix level, so they all have mix at the bottom. Here, for example, this one is a delay, so here we have feedback, and here we have our delay time, and here we have color, which changes the width of the bandpass filter. So we go in and listen to that in a minute. And then again here there's a reverb, so same things as over here. Now these two buttons are very important. So this is where we set the crossover point between the low and the mid, right? So this is the point where the low will end and the mid will start to begin. Of course, it's not a straight cut. And then here we have the one where this is going to set the line between the medium and high. So these are important to play around with as well. And so we'll just do that in a minute and just have a little play with these and see how we can change the sound. And then here we can turn the effect on and off instead of having to bypass it here. I'm just used to bypassing things. So we can turn it on and off. We'll see here, off. And then we have an overall control for our out level as well here. Okay, so let's just go in and see. So we took this preset and let's see if we can maybe tweak it a little bit to make it a bit more interesting and maybe a bit heavier as well, just to show something that it can get a bit crazy, maybe play a bit with the feedback and stuff on the delay. So let's look first at these bands. So you see now we're basically just getting everything mid-band. So we're just getting this delay really. Let's see here. You see like this, I'm basically not really leaving much for the delay. It's going to be all about the reverbs now because we're leaving a massive low band and a massive high band. The high band is going to start from 2 kilohertz. Let's start bringing in a little bit more space for the mid band. Okay, I want a bit more delay sound. I want a bit more from the mid channel. I'm just going to put up the gain in the mid. Let's put up the feedback. Let's play with the color. We can solo this actually. You see how this is much wider. This is much more band passy kind of a sound. That can be useful if we have high feedback levels, right? You see here now we have high feedback, but it's kind of under control because we're really narrowing things with the bandpass filter. So these two we have to kind of play in tandem. So we might want a sort of richer sound, but then we can't get too much feedback or it's going to just get a bit too out of control. Okay, let's turn off that solo. Let's listen to the low end. Right, so you see now we're basically leaving very little room for the low end. So again, we can increase the gain is one thing we can do. I mean, the thing is, this sound just doesn't have much low end, you know. But this is pretty nice, right? See here, we're bringing up that crossover point. Bringing in a bit more of a dreamy kind of a feeling. Let's play with that damp. Okay, let's unsolo that. So again, there's not a lot of high end in this particular sound that we're listening to. It's really all about the mids, this one. But again, we can adjust here. But I think it's going to be a bit harsh if we put that up too high, so let's just leave it like where it is. And then we can really cut off bands again. We can just mix things in exactly the way we want. You see here we've got nothing whatsoever left, right? So we can really just dial in our sound. It's a little bit less harsh like that, yeah. It's too messy. Let's try some different delay times. So if we long press, we can call up this box. Otherwise, we can just swipe up and down. But obviously, if we do that, we're going to get these kind of changes. That's nice. Okay, great. Let's go on and look at something else. Okay, so I've switched things over here. We've got Rosetta XOX, such a useful tool. Check out my recent part 1 video on Rosetta Suite. Part 2 is coming soon. Playing into Rausmacher. Okay, here I've turned this off. I just want to show how Bandit can just be, it can just make drums sound so fat. So again, you know, you can think how to use this. I mean, you can apply different effects to different bands and stuff, but I'm just going to use this to just quickly go through some of the presets, because I think a lot of the FAC presets can be applied to drums, and a lot of them sound great or very interesting. So we'll go through. Some of these will be more successful than others. Not all of them will be appropriate for drums, but it's just a good chance to let you hear a little bit of what the presets sound like. Now, do remember that there are more presets here, because when you buy the in-app purchases, then you also get the reverb and so on. Those things are not there in the just basic version of the app. Okay, so, right, so we're off. That's turned on. Oh, nice and fat. So you can pay attention to what's going on in the 3 channels. I'll bring this down a little bit. I love this. Dry, wet. That sounds so good. Haha, even better. Wait a second, I think I need to turn my limiter up a little bit. Real band pass vibe there. Getting very lo-fi here. So again, you can see how, you know, different things are changing. Get our bit reduction. Get nice and crispy there. Too much, well, just, you know, bring the mix down a little bit. I'm just going quickly through the ones that I think are less suitable. Now we're getting a nice bit of ring mod action. I love a good ring modulator. It's just hard to beat that sound. It's so pleasing to me. And of course we can keep things empty, right? We can go in and say, well, I just want it on the mid. You know, and then we're getting all these parts unprocessed. And again, we've got our bands to play with. I mean, you can do a lot of cool stuff with just one band loaded with an effect in it and the other one's empty. Complete annihilation. Let's see. Yeah, you see, we can narrow the band here. Right? You know, just to mention, with all these things, I mean, really the fun is getting in, and the presets are just there as a guide, you know, give you some idea of what's going on, but get in and play around with them and do your own thing. Oh, That's so dirty. For example, let's see what happens here if we put in a delay or something, maybe up here in the high. Not much, actually. Not that interesting. Let's move on. Swiftly move on. Right, so we have some things that we could maybe use on a bus as well, right? Could try some things on a whole track for sure. Especially with just, you're just going for saturation stuff. You could really do a lot of good stuff for like dub reggae drums and things with this. A little bit messy, but if you tidied that up, it could be cool. Play around with the bands and the mix levels and things. I mean, this just has insane possibilities. Pretty cool. Okay, let's move on. I think next we'll look at multi-out. Okay, so here I've got Ravenscroft, and I'll let you hear what that would sound like dry. Just a regular piano sound. But when I've put it through this multi-out instance and I've added a few effects, basically what we've got here, this is the bass band of Bandit, right? It's going out on this channel. And I'll show you how to set this up in a second. And we're putting on here another instance of Bandit on top of that, to just add a little bit of saturation, and then an instance of Police Chorus to just do something really weird to that. Let me let you hear what that sounds like, just that bass channel. Okay, so now in this channel we're only getting the bass band, right? Only getting this, and that's a ring modulator there, right? And then here on this channel, if you see here, I've got a delay coming out. And what I've done actually is I put another delay on top of it. I like to use a couple of delays sometimes, using an instance of Yukawa here. Let's listen to that. Right, so that's coming out here. So here we've just got the mids. And then over here, we've got a a reverb. And what I'm doing here is adding wove on it. A nice bit of perforation, gating, tremolo, whatever. Listen to those together. So you can just get really weird with this thing when you get into the multi-out if you want. Or you can just get, precision control. You can do something very normal, but you have really the utmost level of control because you're doing it over each of these different channels. So let's look how to do that. Now you see, once I take that one away, these will all die. That's normal, that's not a bug. That's how it would work with multi, because these ones are connected to that one. So what we do here is we go into our first, so we have our instrument here, we go into the FX slot, go audio unit extension, and we choose FAC Bandit, but we must choose the multi-out one. So remember, there are two. So the regular one and the multi-out. We choose multi-out. And then over here, you can just imagine this is just an empty channel, okay? None of these things are important. You just open up an empty channel and you go into the first FX slot, or any one of them, it doesn't matter, and choose multi-bus, and then just choose here, this FAC Bandit, right? And then, hang on, yeah. Wait, why were there two there? Hang on a second. Ah, yeah, because there's this one, right, yeah. But we don't want that one. I want it to be for this one, A1, right? Okay, then over here, again, I'd go multi-bus audio unit instances. Again, choose this one. And over here, same thing. Okay, let me bring these three down, and let me let you hear what's going on here. Okay, so let's choose something. Choose something with something on each channel. Okay, so you see on this channel here, this one, the instance of Bandit will have all three of the bands on it. But if we go over here, we turn the volume down on that one, and then we just put up this one. Now here we'll just be getting the bass channel, the bass band, sorry. Okay, here we're just going to be getting the mids. Oh, plus Yukawa, because I left it on. Right, and here we're just going to be getting the highs. So, this gives us this really, just an incredible ability to design our sound in the wackiest ways or the most precise and clinically precise ways we want. So, we're right at the end here. I just realized I didn't really show you this on a bass sound, and I would like to do that because I think it can sound really great on basses. So have a listen here. Got I fretless. Very nice, but there's absolutely zero punch to this. How do you like that? So we're putting some ring modulator on here and a bunch of saturation. So it's just really a brilliant effect. So many possibilities. You can have a lot of fun with playing around with the multi-out and putting different effects on different channels, mixing it up with different apps on different channels. You can play around with putting, huge strings of these on top of each other and seeing what comes out. It's just a great, if you like experimenting, it's really a great playground. And also, as I said earlier, if you're into really precise sounds, you know exactly what you're doing with sound. it has a lot to offer as well. So I think there's so much that so many people can get out of this app. Absolutely brilliant app. I definitely would say it's a must buy. So thanks everyone, and please give this a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't. I often have things to give away. Write a comment there, anything you can do. If you're a regular on the channel, it'd be great if you want to support the channel. Please share these videos on social media. Tell people about this channel. It is super hard to build a YouTube channel. So the more help I get from the subscribers and viewers like you who are getting use from this, the better, and I really appreciate it. All right, everyone, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.